San Francisco just ranked number 2 best city to visit in America. Out of every city in the entire country, San Francisco is number 2. But here's what's really happening behind the rankings. AI millionaires are buying $10 million homes, while the city just approved $41 million in affordable housing. California invested $5 billion in infrastructure, including a floating zero-emission ferry charging station. San Francisco launched a 38-mile trail that loops the entire city. An old Oakland church is becoming affordable housing. And Lake Tahoe is doing something absolutely wild with luxury homes breaking records while regular prices drop 12%. The Bay Area is transforming faster than ever. Let's dive in. Let me start with the headline everyone's talking about. San Francisco just ranked number 2 in the top 10 best US cities to visit in 2025. Number 2 out of every single city in America. Think about that for a second. The city that has been dealing with open drug markets and homelessness. This ranking highlights our cultural and scenic appeal on a national stage. It boosts tourism for the city, which is massive for local businesses that have been struggling. It really does give residents something to be genuinely proud of after years of negative headlines, and I don't think they've stopped. These rankings actually guide travelers and potential movers to vibrant areas, including San Francisco, which has real economic impact on property values and local investment in businesses. What's incredible is that it completely counters the doom and gloom narrative about San Francisco that's been dominating the news cycle nationwide. If you're from a different area, I'm sure over the last couple of years, your friends and family members that live in those areas probably have talked about how bad San Francisco is. The city has world-class culture, amazing food, stunning scenery, and unique experiences you literally cannot find anywhere else in the world, people would argue. The challenge is making sure tourism benefits residents and doesn't just create more congestion and drive up costs to live here. We need to balance being a destination city with being a livable city for people who actually call it home. Have you visited San Francisco lately? What's your favorite spot that makes San Francisco special? If it's an obvious one, share it. If it's not, we would love to hear it in the comments below. Share them because the people watching this video might not know what you know in the city. Alright, speaking of what makes San Francisco special, the city just launched something that's going to change how people experience the entire city. The Roundabout Trail is a 38-mile loop that connects San Francisco from the Bayfront Park to Ocean Beach to the Golden Gate Bridge and back around. This is huge for both recreation and commuting. You literally could circle the whole city in this trail. The views are absolutely sweeping, depending on where you visit, and if you walk the whole thing, I don't know if most people would walk 38 miles in one sitting, but I think it's a worthy thing to do in different sections and different days. You get to see San Francisco in a way that most people never get to experience. What's amazing is that it creates a legitimate alternative commuter option for people who bike or want to bike more. It promotes active transportation, which is desperately needed to reduce traffic and emissions in the city. And it gives residents and tourists an incredible way to explore San Francisco that did not exist before in such a connected, unified way. The concerns are ongoing maintenance costs, which aren't cheap, 38 miles of trail infrastructure. There are definitely safety issues in some stretches that need to be addressed with lighting and patrols. And accessibility is uneven across different neighborhoods, so not everyone has equal access to entry points. Here's what I want to know from you. If you had one full day to explore the Roundabout Trail, which stretch would you start with? The waterfront along the bay, Ocean Beach, Golden Gate views? Let me know in the comments below because I'm planning to visit myself for the first time. Alright, moving on. Now let's talk about what's driving San Francisco's housing market at the luxury end. AI-driven wealth is absolutely boosting demand for high-end properties right now. October typically sees the weakest sales activity as it enters Q4, but this year we're seeing a massive surge in sales of over $5 million, especially in the city. What's happening is AI millionaires and some billionaires are snapping up mansions in the city. The luxury market is genuinely on fire if you look at the list of sales. High-end sellers and real estate agents are benefiting big time from this trend because typically this is a slower part of the season. We're talking about properties that usually sit for months, only for a couple days right now. The positive side is it shows tremendous confidence in San Francisco's future. These wealthy tech millionaires and billionaires could buy luxury properties anywhere in the world. Paris, London, New York, Miami, you name it, any big city with a luxury market. And they're choosing San Francisco, of course, because the AI boom is happening here in San Francisco. That's actually a really good economic signal for the city's long-term prospects, even with vacancy for offices over 30% still. And the property tax revenue from these multi-million-dollar sales helps fund the city's services that benefits everyone. But let's talk about the elephant in the room that nobody wants to really talk about. This is highlighting absolutely massive economic disparities in our city. While some people are casually buying $10 million homes, other people can't afford to pay rent. This aligns with the broader Bay Area trend where tech affluence is completely reshaping real estate dynamics, and not always in the best way for the average resident who lives here. My question is, what do you think about this? Are you aspiring to buy some luxury real estate someday, or just to buy your first home? Or does this trend genuinely concern you about the wealth inequality here in the city? Share your honest feedback in the comments below. Let's shift to the complete opposite end of housing. San Mateo County supervisors just approved $41 million to fund 9 affordable housing developments across 8 cities. This is going to create hundreds of units specifically designed for low-income residents, which is greatly needed. What's huge about this is it directly addresses the region's housing shortage in a meaningful, targeted way. We're not talking about market-rate apartments or luxury condos. These are units specifically designed for families and renters who are below median income and getting crushed by rising costs to live here. This could actually stabilize rent prices in affected areas, which would be an absolute game changer for working families and our essential workers. The positive impact is it provides real options for people who have been priced out of the peninsula. It reflects an ongoing serious effort to combat those insane rising living costs, but for those specific people that could afford lower costs for housing, they could spend it elsewhere to fund their daily life. And spreading across 8 different cities means the benefits are distributed throughout the county instead of concentrating in one specific area. But let's be completely honest about the challenges here. 41 million sounds like a lot of money when you say it out loud, but when you look at the actual construction costs here in the Bay Area and calculate the number of units this will realistically produce, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to what's actually needed. The timeline for completion is going to take years, not just 1 or 2 years. These projects don't happen overnight, especially with regulation to build. And there will definitely be community pushback in some areas from people worried about neighborhood character and property values. My question for you is, if you were hunting for affordable housing options in San Mateo County right now, what's been your biggest challenge? And what city are you looking for? Comment below and let us know, and follow for more updates on where the units actually might become available for applications. California just invested $5 billion in local infrastructure projects across the entire state. And here's what's absolutely wild for the Bay Area specifically. They're putting $10 million towards a floating zero-emission ferry charging station in the San Francisco Bay. Think about what this actually means. It's enhancing sustainable transportation in a major forward-thinking way. It's reducing emissions for Bay Area commuters and residents who use ferry services to get around. And it supports a broader goal of eco-friendly urban development that California is pushing really hard as a climate leader. The positive impact is massive. This benefits families and businesses that are reliant on ferry services for their daily commutes. It positions the Bay Area as a genuine leader in a green transportation technology on a global stage. And it's creating good-paying jobs in the clean energy sector, which is exactly where we want economic growth happening. The concerns are around the implementation timeline and whether the infrastructure can actually support widespread adoption at scale. Ferry ridership needs to grow significantly to justify this kind of investment long-term, especially $10 million. And there are always legitimate questions about ongoing maintenance costs for floating infrastructure in the Bay Area, which is harsh on equipment. My question for commuters is, are you excited for cleaner ferry rides with zero emissions, or do you care? Or do you just need to go from point A to point B? Would a zero-emissions ferry make you more likely to use water transportation instead of sitting in traffic on a bridge? Let me know in the comments below. All right, moving on to Oakland. Here's a story I absolutely love because it shows creative problem solving. An affordable housing project is being proposed at an old church site in Oakland. They're planning to provide units specifically for low-income residents on a property that's no longer being used for worship services. The initiative tackles the East Bay's housing crisis by intelligently repurposing a building just sitting there empty. It offers stability for families and renters who are struggling right now with evictions and skyrocketing rents. And it reflects community efforts to get genuinely creative about where to build housing when vacant developable land is so incredibly scarce throughout the Bay Area. What I really appreciate about the approach is it preserves a landmark building while giving it a meaningful new purpose. It's not just tearing down everything to rebuild something that we've seen all over every city here. There's real thoughtfulness here about maintaining community character while meeting urgent actual needs at the same time. The challenges are always funding, which is always extremely tight for affordable housing projects. Also, community buy-in can be complicated and politically tricky. Church conversions are expensive because these buildings weren't originally designed as residential housing with all the plumbing and systems you need. And there are often deep emotional attachments to these historic buildings that make redevelopment controversial. Do you think repurposing old churches and community buildings for housing is a good solution we should do more of? Or do you think they should repurpose the church into commercial use? I want to hear your perspective because this could be a replicable model for other underutilized sites across the Bay Area. Are you curious about where you actually fit in the Bay Area? We've helped hundreds of families compare different neighborhoods and areas, and we'd love to be a real estate resource of choice. Reach out to us at hello@theownteam.com. San Mateo County is advancing a housing element rezoning program in a serious way. They held meetings on October 22nd to amend zoning codes specifically to allow for more housing in areas that previously restricted it. This is about creating real opportunities for affordable units in neighborhoods that haven't allowed them before, including affluent ones. What this actually does is open up significantly more land for housing development. It impacts low-income residents and renters desperately needing more options and more supply. And it aligns with aggressive state efforts to address Bay Area housing shortages through actual policy change, not just empty promises and task force. The positive side is this could drastically increase the housing supply over the next 5 to 10 years. Rezoning is genuinely one of the most effective tools we have across different cities to make and create more housing. It shows the county is taking state mandates seriously and not just hoping the problem magically goes away. But there's going to be intense community resistance in some areas. People worry about neighborhood character fundamentally changing. Traffic and infrastructure concerns are completely legitimate as well when you add density without corresponding improvements. And just because land gets rezoned doesn't automatically mean more housing gets built immediately. Developers need financing, permits, market conditions to work, and they still have to go through many hurdles. Locals, do you support rezoning efforts in your specific neighborhood? And tell us what city you live in. Like this video if you think we need more housing, even if that means significant change. I want to see where people actually stand on this in the comments below. All right, moving a little bit outside of the Bay Area, but we all love Lake Tahoe. Let's talk about the city because what's happening there right now is absolutely fascinating. The market is literally doing two completely different opposite things at the same time. First, the luxury market is breaking records left and right. Tahoe Truckee Real Estate saw 7 closings over $10 million in just September 2025. 7 properties over $10 million in 1 month. That's double the year-to-date totals from the previous years. Luxury demand is absolutely insane right now. Wealthy Bay Area residents are buying second homes like there's no tomorrow. Remote work has made Tahoe genuinely viable as a year-round option, and people with serious money are taking full advantage. But here's the complete wild flip side. South Lake Tahoe home prices have dropped 12.3% in September. The median price now is $649,000. So while luxury is absolutely booming and record-breaking, the regular market is cooling down significantly, and it could be caused by the short-term rental ordinances. Also, what could be driving this dramatic split is the wealth inequality. Rich people are getting richer and buying vacation homes, second, third homes as investments. The middle-class buyers are getting squeezed harder and can't compete with cash offers. This creates genuine opportunity if you're looking at $649,000 as a median price point, but also shows how dramatically divided the market has become based on wealth. The real concern is that this is pricing out locals who actually live and work there in Tahoe. Teachers, firefighters, restaurant workers, ski instructors, resort towns face this challenge everywhere across US. But Tahoe is feeling it particularly hard right now with the housing costs completely disconnected from local wages. Are you eyeing Tahoe real estate right now? When was the last time you visited Lake Tahoe? Is a 12.3% price drop in South Lake Tahoe enough for you to seriously consider a primary residence if you were to live there? Or are you one of those people looking for a $10 million property? Comment below and share your dream Lake Tahoe situation because I'm genuinely curious because Lake Tahoe is a place I would consider a second home for. All right, here's some progress on student housing in Berkeley's People's Park, Officially, it's underway. Completion is expected by 2027, and it's going to add significant units for university students who are desperately struggling to find any housing they can afford. This development addresses absolute real shortages. UC Berkeley students are living in overflowing dorms and paying completely outrageous rent for off-campus apartments miles away. Some are commuting from other cities entirely. This project directly solves the problem by adding supply exactly where it's needed right next to campus. What's positive is housing within walking distance of campus is a total game changer for students who couldn't find it or at least affordable options in the past. It reduces commute times dramatically. It builds genuine campus community, which is the college experience, I would argue. It makes education more accessible when you're not spending every dollar you have on rent and also all your time just commuting. But the project elicits real intense mixed community feelings because People's Park has absolutely massive historical significance. This was a site of major protests, activism, and counterculture movements that define Berkeley as a university. There are people who feel very strongly that this erases an important piece of Berkeley's identity and irreplaceable public space. The protest against the housing project has been genuinely intense and ongoing. Students and alumni, what do you actually think? Yay or nay on turning People's Park into student housing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Alright, let me end on something fun and delicious. Anticipated restaurant openings in the Bay Area this fall include Via Aurelia and Wolf's Bane in San Francisco. These are offering completely new dining experiences that food people are really excited about. These additions enrich the city's already incredibly vibrant food scene. They're attracting locals and tourists who are actively seeking diverse cuisines and unique experiences, and they cater to food enthusiasts and also families looking for trendy new spots to explore and post about. What I genuinely love about this is it shows San Francisco's restaurant scene is evolving and thriving despite the massive challenges the industry has faced post-pandemic. Yes, we do have restaurants closing over the last couple years, and you probably have restaurants that are your favorites that have closed. You probably can name it on your hand. But new restaurants opening with serious investment shows real economic confidence. Chefs and restaurateurs believe that San Francisco's future is enough to invest their money in and careers here. I have a fun question for you. Where have you had your most favorite memorable dining experience in San Francisco? And what's your favorite restaurant in the city? Share them in the comments below. I'm sure people would find it useful and helpful. Here's what ties all 10 of these stories together. Every single one of these connects back to real estate, housing affordability, and how we actually live day to day in the Bay Area. San Francisco ranking number 2 as a city to visit impacts tourism, property values, and neighborhood character. The roundabout trail affects how we move around and makes neighborhoods more desirable. AI millionaires and billionaires buying luxury homes and Lake Tahoe's split market show how wealth concentration shapes real estate in both extremes. San Mateo's $41 million affordable housing investment and Oakland's church conversion are about creating desperately needed options for regular working people and housing. California's ferry charging infrastructure affects commute patterns and where people live and choose to live. Rezoning in San Mateo County and student housing at People's Park are about policy responses to housing crises. And new restaurants signal economic confidence and neighborhood vitality that drives property values. All of this directly shapes where we live, how much we pay, and what our daily lives actually looks like living here in the Bay Area. So here's my final question for you. Which of these 10 stories do you think will have the single biggest impact on your actual life over the next year? Drop them in the comments below. If you want to understand how any of these trends affect your real estate decisions, or if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest anywhere in the Bay Area, reach out to me and my team directly at hello@theownteam.com. Hit that subscribe button. We release these weekly videos to keep you up to date on everything happening in San Francisco and the Bay Area. Catch you on the next one.